What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video, another quick take. I got my main man, my partner, my brother here.
There's three things certain in life: death, taxes, and me being the most charismatic man. Thanks again for having me, bro.
My man. So, we've got a situation that you actually brought to my attention. So, we've got an article courtesy of fandomwire.com which says Meagan Good allegedly ignored her friends' warnings to financially support her boyfriend, Jonathan Majors, after his MCU firing. The article goes on to say the multiverse saga of the MCU had locked in Jonathan Majors as its antagonist, having the actor appear in multiple films and TV shows in preparation for Avengers Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars. However, following his conviction for assaulting his ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabari, the actor was promptly fired from Disney, with the Kang Dynasty switching its title to Doomsday. Since then, it seems that Majors has fallen on some hard times, given that sources close to the actor and his current girlfriend, Meagan Good, have reported to Life and Style magazine that the latter has been covering Majors financially, even going so far as to pay his child support for his daughter, who is the product of a previous relationship. The couple started going out in May of 2023, with Good showing up to Majors' court hearing as well. It says, Meagan pays for everything. They really wanted this dog. She got stuck paying the $75,000 training bill. Like, that's crazy. I guess this is a quote that was reported to Life and Style. Sources close to Majors and Good are concerned about Good's well-being, given the amount of money that she has allegedly been shelling out for the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania actor. It says, speaking with Today via Hot New Hip Hop, Good talked about how she was warned about dating Jonathan Majors by her friends. She said, at the end of the day, one thing I know is that I can always look in the mirror when I trust my spirit, when I trust God, when I ask God, and when I move to the beat of my own drum. I can always look and say, okay, I'm proud of that. No matter whatever happens, I have peace in my heart and have harmony in my heart. I take everyone I love's opinion into account, but at the end of the day, I'm the one who has to live my life. I want to be responsible for the choices I make and want to live the life that I want to live. The actress took all the advice and caution that she was given into account, but decided to go ahead with the relationship, knowing that she was solely responsible for the choices that she was making about her life. Majors also seems to be appreciative of the actress and the relationship that they have, breaking down while proclaiming his love for the Shazam alum at the Hollywood Unlocked Impact Awards. Now, being that you are the one that brought this situation to my attention, what are your thoughts on this, bro?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna break these into different segments because if I speak my mind, I'll be talking for an hour. So first things first, people like to throw rocks at glass houses and cry wolf, but the same people who are complaining about him are the same ones that have been in that same situation. How many women go on Twitter, Instagram talking about how they date bad boys, dudes with no job, unemployed, doing nothing, and they pay for all their rent, pay for all their pay for a car, pay for everything for them. So, people like to judge when they've been in that same situation. Now, I gotta say, I'm not upset about it. At the end of the day, a lot of people have these 1960s thinking of, oh, the man has to pay for everything and the women. We live in a society now. Check me out on this. We live in a society now where people say, men need to stop with holding men to the same standard that our grandparents used to do, right? Because women are much more than just, housewives and cooking and cleaning and take care of the kids, right? We have a lot of women out here who are making a lot of money, making more money than a lot of men. And, they're doing very well financially. And I think being actors, we can understand this because we understand that unless you're getting work like he used to before this incident, it's a very unsteady income. It's a very unsteady job. And for Jonathan Majors to go through what he's going through right now, I'm pretty sure he's not feeling the greatest that he wants to. He's not working like he used to. The money is not coming in as quickly as it used to, and he has a household to maintain, not only his but his children. So he has a woman in Meagan Good who's been in the industry for over 2 decades since she was a kid plus, and she is looking out for him because I'm sure she's been in that same boat. She's talked about this openly where when she was the moneymaker, the family, and she was taking care of her siblings. Would you call her siblings the same way people are calling Jonathan Majors? No. Why? Because people are hypocrites. So Jonathan Majors is going through something tough, and he's going through a rough part of his journey. And when you have someone who really loves you, they will stick by you thick and thin. And she's sticking with him. And people need to mind their business. We talked about this before. I'm gonna let you go. Like I said, if I speak my whole mind in one segment, I could talk for hours.
So when you brought this to my attention, we spoke over the phone. The first thing I said was, I don't think it's anyone's business. I said that. It just didn't feel appropriate to even be discussed just because of the fact that that type of situation is so personal. And I feel like this being in the media is purely just to, further tear down his character, which has already been teared down in the past year and a half. Okay. In fact, just news today is that Jonathan Majors is charging $140, for autographs. It's funny how this story just came out yesterday. Hot 97, Hollywood, and Hollywood Unlocked, or whatever these different media platforms, they're all reporting the story of Meagan Good covering all his financial bills yesterday. And then now it's coming out that he's charging fans $140 autographs, which again, I think is expensive, but that's besides the point. My thing is this, like I said before, it's personal. What made me really want to speak on it in the first place is really the fact of Meagan Good's family and friends warning her about this. And I have two different sides to that. On the one hand, I really appreciate what she said, which is basically the fact of she has to live her own life and she has to make her own choices. So that way, at the end of the day, whatever happens, she's not going to have anyone else to blame but herself. And it's actually easier to, in my opinion, because I'm mature, it's easier to live with mistakes that I made than mistakes that I made at the behest or insistence of somebody else. Right. That's one. Two, I kind of my spider sense went off about that a little bit. And here's why. For two reasons. For one, I don't think any man, any real man, would really feel comfortable with a woman paying all his bills. And that's why I felt like this was a lie. I'm like, there's no way, okay? Because it's not like Jonathan Majors is flat broke. Just because he got fired from Marvel doesn't, exclude all the money that he's made throughout the years. And right, yes, the income of an actor is inconsistent. It is patchy. You're working when you're working, and when you're not, you're not. At the same time, I'm pretty sure he's earned a substantial amount of money from Loki season 1, Loki season 2, Ant-Man, Creed 3, The Five Bloods, the other films that he worked on that didn't come out in between. Like, it's not like this man, again, hasn't been working. He's been working, and I'm pretty sure he will work again. So really, I'm not really for this narrative that now, he's not only a domestic abuser, but he's just this, guy that just decided to, freaking swing over to the first woman that he could, and now he's mooching off of her. I don't really believe that. Again, I've supported Jonathan Majors before in the past, and I still support him now until he proves me otherwise, unless he does something like I always say, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby related, and then I'm going to jump ship. But until then, I'm going to support this guy, because what we have to realize is that they do this to us a lot. And when I mean us, I mean black men. They do this to us a lot. It's like once the media gets you to a point where they can attack you and cancel you, they're going to keep you there. Remember what I was saying about Will Smith, and we're talking about Stephen A. I said the reason why Stephen A was so salty was because here you got a guy that the media went above and beyond to cancel, and he was able to bounce back. Now, obviously, again, Will Smith and Jonathan Majors, they have, there's no comparison in terms of careers, but there's comparison in terms of who they are. They're both black men. And then they still, hold Will Smith to some shit that he did 2 years ago, when his whole entire career up until, this point has been nothing but positive. And I could say the same about Jonathan Majors. I think the only thing that Jonathan Majors was truly guilty of was just staying in a toxic relationship, knowing that it was toxic, and then choosing to stay in it overtime because their relationship was in overtime and it burnt out. And he waited until shit hit the fan to finally walk away. You know what I'm saying? We have video proof of him running away from this girl. And people will just ignore that and still stamp domestic violence, the label on him. I don't see the media coming after Diddy the way that people come after Jonathan Majors.
Facts.
The only reason why, Diddy is still talked about is because people only report on Diddy when a new lawsuit comes out, just like one came out today. But you don't see them coming after every little single detail about his personal life the way that they do Jonathan Majors. And I don't think that's fair. Now, again, I do think that the two of them, as far as I know, and again, I like the both of them. In fact, honestly, I've always loved Meagan Good. Like she was every, young black dude's fantasy in life. But because I'm supportive of the next black man that makes a success out of himself, doing the things that he loves to do, I support that. I'm like, that's what I want to do. You want to get into the, entertainment industry, get you a nice baddie, and then sail off into the sunset. At the same time, I will say that he needs to make sure that he's not falling into the same pattern. And what I mean by that is in relationships, you want to have a certain level of balance between the two people. So it's like Meagan Good, because they're not married, and they're probably living together by now. But I'm saying, like, they're not married yet. She should still have her life, and he should still have his. And I don't want them to get to the point where shit starts to go left like it did with his last ex-girlfriend. Now, I don't know the dynamics of their relationship, but I do know that if this is true, which I don't think is true, and I'm going to give Jonathan Majors enough respect to say that this is not true. And if there is any sort of financial assistance involved, I'm pretty sure it's probably because she volunteered, not that he asked. But let's say if he did ask her to shell out $75,000 for training bills for his dogs or whatever it is that he had to pay $75,000 for. That must mean that their lives are enmeshed. I don't know if that's the right word, but let's say their lives have merged so much to the point where she's willing to undertake his, financial responsibilities, and she's willing to shoulder his financial woes. And I think it's too soon for her to be doing all of that. And that's just my take on that. I don't think that, because they've only been together for what? How long? Because the whole Jonathan Majors thing happened, this time last year or around that? So I would say the news came out in March of last year. Okay? So then that means they started dating in this time?
I think November of 2020.
Something like that. Yeah. So they probably were talking around this time last year. They were probably dating, but then they went public with it late 2023, I guess. Again, I don't know, but I don't think it was that long, into the whole trial and stuff where he started, walking around with her on his arm. But either way, in my opinion, I don't think I think it's too soon for her to be doing all of that. And again, to his credit or in his defense, as of right now, I don't think that this is true. And to piggyback off of what you said, I do think it is respectable that you have a woman, a black woman at that, who is willing to be with a man while he's down. And that's rare, because a lot of times women, they want to be with guys, while they got it, while they're up. But as soon as they're down, they're nowhere to be found. And even though, despite her family and her friends and the fucking media constantly tearing down their relationship, she's still with him. And again, you got to understand, I feel like everything that she's doing now, I think, hopefully, and I'm just speaking in ideals, I'm just being optimistic, it will pay off in the long run. Because I do think that somebody like Jonathan Majors will bounce back eventually. He will. Yep. Somebody as talented as he is, it's like, yeah, life is all about ups and downs. So right now he's down. He might not be getting offered as much work. Unfortunately, the Dennis Rodman movie got pulled from him. Magazine Dreams isn't coming out. I think he had another, film that was supposed to either be in production or was supposed to be released. I don't know. But I know at some point he will redeem himself. So, that's my initial thoughts, man.
Yeah, I'll just put this in, because this recently came about. It's a little separate, but people have been talking about Batista and his weight loss, and people like, making comments and joking about, his substantial weight loss. And someone made a good point. They was like, people was doing this with Chadwick Boseman, right? When he was losing weight and he was, as really skinny, people was clowning him, and then he passed away. And this is the dangerous rhetoric I don't like. When people make jokes and stuff about people like Jonathan Majors. Now, you may not like him as a person, you may not like what happened with the trial. That's fine. I give you that. But we often see this a lot of times, especially with men. I forgot one rapper was talking about this, but he was saying that we oftentimes, when men are down, we make fun of them instead of trying to uplift them. This whole Tyrese thing that happened on the Breakfast Club earlier this year, last year, when people was making fun of him about his situation when he was crying on the internet, and then he opened up about it and it made people realize, hey, maybe I shouldn't have jumped to the gun about this. We need to stop mocking people when they're down. And yes, Jonathan is a man with a child. Yeah, fine. But you know what? At the end of the day, his child is being taken care of, whether it's from him or his girlfriend. And that's their business. Again, like we talk about this all the time. Like, I don't jump into your relationship. You don't jump into mine. I don't tell you what girl to date. You don't tell me what the girl to date, right? And that's how it should be. And if you are going to do that, it makes sense to do it in a more, if you're dating a child molester or whatever, right? But regardless, people are going to do whatever they want. If people want to date a dude in prison, they're going to do that. If a girl wants to date a dude who's just sitting on the corner all day, 9 to 5, she's going to do that. If a man wants to date a stripper, he's going to do that. At the end of the day, it's going to happen. But let's not, use whatever happened with Jonathan Majors to knock him down. Because what if all of this, like you said, I do agree. I think some of this stuff is overblown and people are just trying to do it to make him seem even worse as a person. Yeah. But what if the situation, what if we don't know what's happening behind closed doors? What if this dude is on his last string? What if he's like, I don't have no money coming in. I'm struggling. My child, needs to be provided for. I don't got nothing right now. I'm trying. And like you said, the media, they're making this joke about him, being supported by his woman. But why not promote him at a Comic-Con signing? Just trying to make a quick extra dollar.
Well, they're not gonna. They're not gonna do that. They're not going to do that.
And I know why.
Which is on top of the point that I made, which is it's nobody's business. Because these same people who, because when you look up these articles, you have a first and last name. Somebody sits and types this up. If they were going through something financially, they wouldn't want it all on Front Street, if that was in fact the case. But again, that's just what the media does to Black people. And mind you, all the negative comments that I see about Jonathan Majors and Meagan Good, for the most part, when I'm on the Shade Room or when the Shade Room posts and I look at the comments, it's all from Black people. People said that Jonathan Majors, when he cried, when he was talking about how much he appreciated her, how much she's been there for him. People said he's an actor. They said it was fake. I'm like, but what do you want him to do? So if he was talking bad about her, y'all would say, oh, that's Jonathan Majors. But when he's saying how much he loves and respects and appreciates her, y'all gonna talk trash about him too. What do you expect him to do? And I know for a fact, and this is why, as of right now, I'm taking the stance of defending him, is because I know that if they would do the same thing to me. All you got to do is screw up publicly and be Black and a successful person at that. The media is going to tear you down just the same. So just like how everybody was for him 2 years ago, people will switch up just as easily.
I agreed. And I think this is one of the reasons why I always stay away from these red pill content you see on YouTube and Twitter, because they often talk about stuff like this. All real man provides and all this stuff. But again, a lot of these people are just talking on the internet, because a lot of times if you ever find out what they were doing behind closed doors, they be in the same situation, dating the same dude, paying all his bills. Now, granted, Jonathan Majors is a different example than a dude who just lives in the street all day. He's just hitting a rough patch in his life. Many actors, famous or not, have hit rough patches. And we'd be surprised how many of these A-list celebrities who have stumbled in their careers, their wife, their girlfriend, their boyfriend, their husband, have been there financially to help them throughout these times. And I just think it's dangerous when we make fun of people like this, because what if we truly don't know what is actually going on behind closed doors financially with them, and it's not our business. But we making all these jokes. Now, what if he is close to jumping off a cliff because he's tired of the life he has right now and the fact that people demonize him at any chance they can get? You know what I'm saying? And I think it's just dangerous when we do that because we often do this, and then when someone passes away down, we want to
Want to switch
reflect
up.
and I wish I didn't do that. No, we do
Right,
this
right,
now.
right.
Yeah, yeah, demon. Like you said, I'll make this real short. People demonizing this man, but they didn't say anything about. I haven't heard anything about Diddy in months, and we saw what happened on that video with um um what's that?
Cassie?
Yeah, we saw what happened. People ain't talking about it now.
Nah.
But you'll kind of do, who was running down the street from a woman. And that's a whole nother situation. But again, I just think people need to just mind their business, stay in your lane. Whatever she wants to do to help support him, she could do whatever she wants. Just like, your mom, your sister, your brother, whatever has financially supported their own significant other. It is what it is. That's their life. If she wants to make that choice, that's for her. And for him, I hope he bounces back and makes his own money, or at least get to that point
He
where
will. I honestly, I
yeah,
have again, when you're as talented and skilled as he is in his craft, there's always going to be a lane you can get into at some point. Another door will open at some point. Because again, like yeah, he might be black, so I think it's going to take a little bit longer than let's say a white counterpart, but it'll work out. And honestly, in my opinion, the same way, people came out in droves and talked about how even in college at Yale, he was a disgusting human being. And then there were other people. To me, this is just a smear campaign because a lot of those things, it didn't stick. It just didn't materialize. I feel like people can pay to have these stories come out. You could just leak it into the media. Like they said, sources close to such and such said this, and that. They don't really just pull these things out of thin air. And I feel like the reason why you don't see a lot of these things about Diddy is because, he probably has enough money to cut a check to tell, Shade Room, chill, don't say anything. And then again, if something does come up, it's very major, but it's not a minor story like this. You know how much shit Diddy's been doing? Or like, I read the article about Don Richards and the stuff that he was doing. He's been doing this shit for years. But the one thing that happened with Jonathan Majors, that shit came out. Why? Because again, it's who's an easier target. You know how we talk about Marcus Houston and how every little thing with Marcus Houston, it'll come out and people will talk about him and how he's a groomer and all of this shit. Why? Because he's an easy target. Same thing with, who was I about to mention? Brian McKnight, same thing. There are certain public figures, black men out there that for some reason, I guess maybe because they're not an A-lister, it just automatically makes them, an easier target for people to throw darts at and rocks at and Rotten Tomatoes and all this other types of shit. So that's why I think for him personally, like I understand that, they make public appearances and they talk about their relationship and all of that. But honestly, if I was Jonathan Majors, bro, I wouldn't even be talking to the media like that, dog. Like for real, like I would be on some Denzel type shit. Like you see Denzel when he's promoting something, when he's talking about work and stuff. You see Sam Jackson when he's talking about work. You don't see these guys come out talking about their relationship and things like that. Because again, the media to me is not a good place for me to be talking about my relationship, for me to be talking about my personal life. Because all I'm doing is loading the clip for them to shoot at me. Right? Because look at Will and Jada. You know how I love the both of them. But it's like when they, and I said it before, when they come out and they talk about their personal life, they talk about it not for no reason, not for vanity purposes. No, they're talking about it so for people like me, people like you, and the other hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people can use their experiences to learn from it. So they're basically saying to everybody, learn from my mistakes. That was the whole point of the Red Table Talk, in my opinion, to their credit, right? But since then, what have people done with that information? Every little thing in the media, they use it to weaponize against them and really to try to turn Will and Jada, against each other. It hasn't worked, but I see the play. I see what they're doing. So I feel like if Jonathan Majors and Meagan Good, if they want it to last, they got to keep their relationship out of the public eye. Especially me. I'm like, you give me, all right, okay. Let's say if in a parallel universe, I'm dating Meagan Good. Like, let's say she's closer to my age and I'm dating Meagan Good. I'm not answering any questions about Megan. Don't ask me about her. Y'all might see us together, sure, but frankly, honestly, we're not posing for the camera like the way that they are. And I understand why they're doing it. And I think really maybe Megan was kind of pulling him into the limelight a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, because I remember her saying that he wasn't really comfortable in that world. So she's exposing him a little bit more. And I see again, there's pros and cons to it. But me personally, I would not be doing that. Now, granted, this is me, without the controversy. So let's say this is without any sort of, domestic violence shit and whatnot. I wouldn't be all out and about because, again, I know what the media is going to do. They're not going to be rooting for a black man and a black woman to be together. They're not going to do that. Bet you if he had a white girl on his arm right now, they'd probably be rooting for him. Bet you they would. Bet you they would. If Meagan Good was running around with a white guy, and let's say if it was a white actor, and that white actor got on stage and was crying about how Meagan Good, has been there for him and appreciating him and all of this shit, people would be rooting for him. But because it's Jonathan Majors and it's a black man, they don't have no love for him. That's a fact. So this represents a greater conversation as far as really how the media and the public perceive black men, because we get attacked a lot. And that's why I give Meagan Good even more points for standing by him and honestly taking some of them arrows too. For real. Right. So it's like they honestly, and again, like I don't really believe in relationship goals. I don't, because like I said, I don't know what's happening behind closed doors, which is why I gave my perspective or my speculative opinion on what could happen if they merge their lives too much. But at the same time, it's like that's something that people should aspire to, in a sense of let me not even say ride or die, because it don't even really be that. It's just to unconditionally support the person that you're with, unconditionally be there for somebody. If they need help them. Because like you were saying earlier, there's this narrative, especially amongst black people and really exclusively black people, because I don't hear this conversation, amongst white people, Asians, or anywhere else, that the man has to pay for everything. The man has to do this. The man has to do that, and if he's not doing that, that means he's not a man. It's just like, so to hear the reverse is trying to tear him down even more. It's like, I refuse to do that. I refuse to use my voice, my channel, to tear down on this guy. Because like I said from the beginning, that could be me. Like you said, Tyrese just got arrested the other day. When he cried, I mean, honestly, like him crying at the Breakfast Club, like I saw more people supporting him than not. But then again, you had guys like Joe Budden saying, "Oh, Cry Reese." That's what he was calling him, Cry Reese, instead of his actual name. So again, it's like, do we really love and support each other? I know the answer to that question. I know we don't. But it's like, you can't pick and choose when to be pro-black. You can't pick and choose when to support your fellow black man or woman. It's either you're on board or you're not. And then if you're not, cool, but then just say that. Don't try to make it seem like, Jonathan Majors is less of a man because he might be, getting help, from his girl and all that. I mean, that's just life. Everybody does that. Everyone's doing that. Everyone has had a point in their lives where they've needed some sort of financial assistance at some point in time. The reason why I feel like with Jonathan, it's not that big a deal, because I know for a fact at some point he's going to get work. That's just how opportunity, works, especially in the entertainment industry. There's a revolving door. Like I said before, it might not be Marvel. We know it's not going to be Marvel, but we know it could be something else. Because like I said, I was reading the Wikipedia page for Robert Downey Jr. like last week. And then I didn't even know it was that bad for him. Like, it was bad. Like, I knew, okay, it was drugs and alcohol. He went to jail, but I didn't know it was as bad as it was. And again, he's white. But I just think, again, in the future, and that's just how, it is for actors. It could be just that one director, that one producer that decides, you know what? Let's get Jonathan. I know we could get this dude, but let's get Jonathan. Like, hopefully, like Quentin Tarantino, I know he's notorious for doing things like that. Just getting just this one actor, to be in his next project. It's like he wanted, like, I think Chris Tucker was in consideration for Django. Back then, what was the last project we heard Chris Tucker in? So I know it can happen for him eventually. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of who decides to stand by his side. Like, honestly, and I'm just throwing this shit out there. If Michael B. Jordan is as cool with Jonathan Majors as he would like people to believe, if there's a role for Jonathan Majors for Anderson Dame in Creed 4, he better put him in there. He better put him in there. Especially how Creed 3 went anyway. I don't think it would be much of a Creed 4 without him. Because I think they could be the kind of new, Rocky Creed kind of combination, dynamic duo. So right. Just like it could be Creed and Dame and Creed. He could definitely do that. And I feel like it would start with him. Just like how the first film back after the Oscar slap was what? Bad Boys. Bad Boys Ride or Die. So it really just depends on if Jonathan Majors has the support that he thinks that he has. You know what I mean? Because I know there's a lot of people that'd be like, yo, Jonathan, man, I'm here for you. I support you and all of that. Okay, so let's see it. So when it comes time for him to get that role, for you to write a role from him, are you going to put him in there? Maybe. Remember how years ago, how John Boyega said that he was afraid of getting canceled because he was voicing his opinions publicly about COVID. Right? And I remember Jordan Peele being one of those directors that said, don't worry, I got you. So will people do the same for Jonathan Majors and give him an opportunity? We'll see, because unless he decides, like I said, to become a freaking, director, producer, actor, director, producer, writer, and then do his own shit, but we'll see.
Yeah, amen to that, But yeah, like you said, just to cap it off, the media is going to do whatever they do. So I'm not gonna say nothing about that, because it is what it is. When you're a celebrity, they're going to report on everything. But for the everyday people, just realize, I always heard this one saying, we're always one mistake. And 90% of us, 95% of people are like this. We're one bad mistake from being in the same situation. Not like him per se, but being in that situation where you don't know how you're going to pay your bills the end of the month, how you going to, survive until you get another job. So, at the end of the day, like I said, whatever she wants to do to support him, that's her choice. And, at the end of the day, I hope that he recovers. And I'm sure he will. Who knows how long it'll take, but eventually he'll get back up. And you know what? Salute to her, because we rarely see a lot of Black relationships, especially the young relationships, because Megan and Jonathan Majors is still relatively young. We don't see a lot of stories like these. We always see the Krishan Rocks and the Blue Faces on Twitter.
People but we rarely those. See some.
Yeah, we love those, but we don't like stories like this where the woman is actually standing by her boyfriend, right? And maybe potential husband, who knows? But at the end of the day, just stay in your lane, and don't judge other people, because their life is different from your life, and you don't want nobody judging yours.
Right. And I'm just gonna throw this, in there in closing, because this is a whole separate thing that I literally just saw while you were talking. I was scrolling through my phone and I saw the Shade Room posting that he's charging $140 for autographs at whatever convention that he's going to be at. Do people know how much freaking, guests charge for autographs and photo ops? Like, bro, if I'm not mistaken, that might even be the fucking average. If Chris Evans, if Chris Hemsworth, Robert Downey Jr. showed up to New York Comic Con, how much do you think they're charging for autographs? $20? Come on, man. Like stop it. Like, let's not act like this is not a capitalist society. Nigga got bills. If that's how much he's charging, that's how much he's charging. He's not forcing anybody to pay $140. It's not like people don't have a choice. That's like the PS5 Pro. They said that it's going to cost $699 for the PS5 Pro. We don't have to buy it if that's the case. If that's how much he feels his autograph is worth, who cares? Why? You know what I'm saying? Will people feel better if it was $10 or some shit? Should it be $50? No, it's $140. I think people would have still talked shit if the headline said Jonathan Majors is charging $50 for his autograph. People would be like, oh shit, he's down bad. He's down bad. Oh, he charging $20 for his autograph. It's a business. You remember we always say, it's like, yo, I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. I'm charging what I feel like my autograph is worth, what that signature is worth, because I'm for damn sure people are going to get his autograph and resell that shit for twice that amount. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, if you're Black. And I really can't stand that shit. But anyway, what are your thoughts? Please be sure, as always, to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.